Welcome back everyone, and for today's video I have a haul of both manga and anime that I would like to show off. So I'll just go ahead and get started because this might be a long one. I'll start off with the manga because it has the least amount of items. So as you can see, I bought volumes 3 through 8, I believe. I think I'm missing one actually. Because this is 3, these 2 are 4, and I'll explain why I have 2 in a minute. 5, 7, and 8. I'm missing 6, and I think there's one about to be released that I don't have. It's only available on Amazon so far through pre-order, and I'd rather just wait till it actually goes on sale. But I really like this series, and I was so happy that I waited to try and pick up the rest of the volumes because there were a couple of sales in different shops. I believe 3 and 8 I bought from Crunchyroll, and I don't think I've ever bought manga through Crunchyroll, and then I forgot the reason why I bought it. I think it was because I wanted a specific volume only Crunchyroll had. No other shop had it, so I kind of wanted to fill my card up to make the purchase worth it. So I went ahead and purchased a few volumes of Who Made Me a Princess, which is a manhwa that I began reading online, and I got through a lot of it. I don't think it's still continuing, so I didn't finish the story, but they started publishing the English manga. These books are thick, they're quite heavy. Now you may notice I have 2. In actuality I have 3, and I didn't realize it. I guess I miscalculated when I made this order, because I was trying to scout around to see who had the volumes cheapest. Amazon has them, Target has them, Crunchyroll obviously has them since they took over Right Stuff, and Right Stuff sold everything. But Target actually had some of the cheaper prices, but they only had a few volumes available. They didn't have the whole thing. So I got what they had, and then unknowingly purchased volume 3, even though I had received it from the Crunchyroll order. Oddly enough, they shipped, I think I bought 3 or 4 books from them. They shipped out 3 in its own box, and then 1 came, I'm assuming, from a different branch or a different store, and they shipped that one out individually in its own box. But my dogs got to it, and the box was also opened, I think, by my dogs, but I guess they immediately knew what it was after seeing it and let it be. This must have been their tester as to what was in the box, because look at this. And I thought about just keeping it because it wasn't UPS or Target's fault that this happened, but these are expensive books, so I did request to get a replacement, and Target did send it, and I don't have to send the old one back, so that's pretty nice. But I'm still gonna have to return this because I already have it and I didn't know. I'm sorry, I keep saying volume 3. It's volume 4 that I have 3 copies of now, so but yeah, that's what I'm planning to do. I don't know what I'm going to do with this broken one. Usually I might keep it for like a craft project, but I haven't used the other manga volume that came damaged in my collection. So I don't know, maybe I'll donate it, and someone at a thrift store would still be interested in it despite the damage. But there's that. I also got volume 4 of Witch Hat Outlier, which is receiving an anime soon, and I'm so excited for it. Tons of people have been waiting for an adaptation of this, and thankfully it hopefully looks like the animation studio that picked it up will do the art justice, because the art is so gorgeous. I still have to catch up to this series. I've actually read ahead from the volumes that I own. This is the only I think I only have, I have volumes 1, 2, 3, and now 4, but I've read ahead past this, and I just, wanted to start collecting a few of the volumes because the artwork is so cool. It's really gorgeous, and if you're interested in a nice little fantasy story, I would highly recommend this series, especially for the magic system. It's so cool. I apologize, I usually describe what the series is about, but I feel like most of these series I've described a couple times in my hauls and reviews that I don't have to, but it's been a while. So Who Made Me a Princess is one of those reincarnation stories where the person is reincarnated into a piece of media that they have previously read or is familiar with in the modern world. So it's an isekai basically, but the main character tends to know exactly what's supposed to happen, and usually their role is to try and change the outcome because it's usually not favorable to them. They're either reborn the villainess or they're gonna die, stuff like that. In this particular story, the main character is reborn as the unwanted daughter of this tyrant king. And she knows, you know, she's not favored by the king and is eventually killed. And I just really liked all the other elements related to the story. It's not just that plot. There's some other pieces scattered around that make the story quite interesting. And then, as you can see from the covers, they're quite, the artwork is quite gorgeous. I think the only time, because sometimes Korean webcomics, you can tell it's like a newbie artist and they're really trying to cut corners so that they can meet deadlines. So they use pre-made assets from whatever drawing program they're using. Killing Stalking had a lot of it. You could tell the backgrounds were generated from, it kind of looked like Clip Studio to me, but I don't know what program they use. And I really only noticed that a few times in this, mainly with the patterns, because the outfits in these characters, like that, look at that, are so elaborate. But the rest looked completely hand-drawn, and it's gorgeous, and I love it. Beautiful artwork. And yeah, highly recommend both of these series. Next, I got 2 BL series, Boys Love. One is Don't Be Cruel +2, which I didn't realize was kind of rare to find. Crunchyroll and then some obscure bookstore, I don't recall. It might have been Barnes & Noble had it. But Crunchyroll had it for the cheapest, and this is actually the reason I decided to make my order. I just wanted to complete the collection of the plus side stories, I guess, because I had 1 and then I found 3 at a convention, and so I hate gaps, so I got 2. I haven't actually read it, but I'm excited to. I like those stories. It's very generic, you know, bully and his victim start to get along and know each other and fall in love, and it goes into their college years, which is really nice. Then Revenge Agent Izumi-san. I'll be honest, I got this because the plot made me curious. It seems like this main guy tortures the other guy because he's a menace to society, or menace to women, it says back here. So it sounds like a playboy getting his comeuppance. It's a one-shot, so from what I saw, because I try not to spoil myself, it seemed funny, or a little comedic, and the art was good. So, you know, this was just a random purchase that I was like, I'm willing to pay to see what that's about. So that's all of the manga that I purchased. Very happy with the exception of the mix-up with Who Made Me a Princess, but I'll get that remedied and just return that to Target whenever I get the chance. Now let's move on to the anime, which I'm very excited for. I'll start with the ones that came with my Crunchyroll order. Oh, I'm lying. I believe... was it these 2? No. I think these I purchased from Crunchyroll. This was something else. And then these 2 were my remaining order for my last Sentai Filmworks package that I did a video for. I had purchased these 2, but they were on back order and I didn't realize. And they do a similar thing to what Right Stuff did, and now Crunchyroll, where if the item was not available, you could still purchase it if they knew they were still going to get copies for it, but you would either have to wait for your purchase to come in before they shipped out your entire order, or if it was too far out, then they would just ship whatever order was available, or part of your order was available, and then you'd have to wait for the rest of it to be shipped out separately. Oh my gosh. But yes, I got Parasite. I actually didn't finish the anime, but I was reading the manga at the time the anime was announced, and I did enjoy it. The art style of the anime is quite different from the manga, since the manga is so old. It has that kind of traditional, little quirky, classic manga style. And this is renamed the Maxim. I'm assuming to differentiate it, since it looks so different from the manga. But I did like what I saw, even though I didn't finish it. Oh snap, there's 24 episodes? Okay, now I'm excited for this. I thought it was only 12. I didn't get very far, I guess. But I'm excited. The opening for this is a banger. Even before I finished the series, I heard that opening and I listened to it for at least 2 years constantly because it was so good. But yeah, I'm excited to have this. I think I didn't pay much for this. This was during the Sentai sale where a lot of the stuff I purchased was like $10. So very happy to have that. And then I'm so excited to receive this. This is Dororo, the complete collection. This is a remake of another classic anime title of the same name. The story of which, I hope I can remember to explain it. The main character comes across a boy who is made out of, I think it was bought like doll pieces or something, because Dororo's actually the child. I forget their name. I'm terrible. But yeah, the other dude you see in the back here is on a search to find his body parts because he was born without them. He was born without eyes, ears, all that stuff. So throughout their life, they've kind of been searching for these missing body parts, and Dororo joins them on their journey. And snap, that almost fell on the ground. Oh my gosh. I don't know if that happens because of the shipping process or if that's just how the factory that they make these. But yeah, the discs aren't very special. They do look cool though. Actually, it's a shame they don't have inserts. The insert isn't double-sided, so I can't flip it to a different cover because I like that. I guess they're doing the bare minimum nowadays, but I am still happy to own this. It was a very enjoyable series, and I actually didn't finish it. I got pretty far though. I forget why. I think there was like a gap between episodes and I just lost track of them or something. I don't recall, but very excited to have this and finish it. Next, I have a small stack from Crunchyroll that I also ordered, and one of which is The Girl from the Other Side. Next, I got Mushishi. This is a series I've been meaning to buy for the longest time, and I just never did. It wasn't a priority, so whenever I was low on money, it just always got kicked to the side. But I'm a little paranoid now because series are going out of print, and it doesn't seem like these companies are willing to renew licenses, especially for the classics. It seems like, I feel most companies are letting the classics go by the wayside because there's so much new anime that the newer anime fans don't tend to care about the classics. So whereas Funimation and even I feel like Sentai always tried to get licenses for the classics, that's not the case anymore, or at least it's not their priority. But yeah, this series is amazing. I would highly recommend it to anyone who really likes a kind of atmospheric series with fantastical elements. The world in this series is so unique and really cool, and the main character is really cool too. Yay! And with these save titles, you can always flip it. They usually include the original cover, so you can flip it so you don't have this green bar on the spine. It's been a long time since I've seen it, so I can't really describe more of the plot than that. But I remember really enjoying it when I saw it, so would highly recommend. And then finally, I have Free, Iwatobi Swim Club. This is the 3rd season, I think. Oh, this has a... Well, I guess it doesn't matter. It has the Funimation digital copy thing in here, but Funimation has shut down their streaming services, so I guess it doesn't matter. Here's the cover you can flip or put back. I think I had flipped it when I originally got this because I liked the poster on the other side. This is Dive to the Future, which is the 3rd season. This is the season that I believe goes into their college years. And I didn't enjoy it as much, to be quite honest. I didn't care for the newer characters. So I was just like, eh. So for me, who loved Free and has figures, like a figure of it, and I bought the premium set when it came out, it just wasn't a priority to get. But again, I'm scared of stuff going out of print, so here it is in my collection. So this is everything that I purchased through stores available in the US. And the next few I'm so excited to talk about because the whole experience was very interesting to me. And my avenues have been opened once again. I'll do that one last because that's an interesting one. So There's a lot of anime, like I said, going out of print recently, and has been out of print for the longest time. A lot of them, you know, usually like 2010 anime, that just didn't retain their reach like a lot of others did. Their licenses were not renewed and they became obscure, and some didn't, but Aniplex is terrible. In particular, they just refuse to renew licenses, and when they do, they're so expensive. One such series was Darker Than Black. I remember loving this series when I first saw it. I only saw this first season. I didn't even know it had a second season up until like 2 years ago. And I always put off buying it because I think the Blu-ray to me was a little more expensive than I was willing to pay, and then immediately regretted it. Or actually, I don't think they released a Blu-ray. Whatever. There was a reason I just never bought it. I think I just didn't connect to it enough to pay for it at the time. The longer the time went by, I realized I regretted not buying it because now it's out of print. And if you go on eBay, it's quite expensive. I think like a decently conditioned copy can run you about $100 or more. I'm not willing to pay that. I just am not. But what ended up happening is I found a listing on Mercari for season 1, and it was actually from a Japanese seller. Now, Mercari now allows you to buy from Japanese sellers, but the prices are quite inflated and shipping is really expensive. So I just went to a proxy that I always use and looked up the listing to see if I could find it in Japanese and see if it would be cheaper if I bought it straight from Japan through a proxy, and it actually was. And then the listing sold before I could ask them if the condition was good. But then this one came up for 3,000 yen, and if you know the conversion rate right now, that means it was about $20. So I was so happy to find this. It is a legit copy because and you do have to be careful about that because some of these do have illegitimate Chinese copies being made. And for this one in particular, a lot of other countries made their own versions that look exactly the same, but there's a little logo on the bottom right here that indicates it was like the European version released, or like the Oceania version, Malaysia version, something like that. Here's what the cases look like. Oh, such good artwork. Love it. And the discs are cool too, and they're double-sided. Look at that. So much effort put into this. And then here's how I can tell it's real. It comes with the original Funimation booklets, so that's really cool. Blast from the Past. And what's neat about this one, there's artwork on the inside. I think his name was Hiei, the main character. I cosplayed her once too as a teenager. So yeah, this series I love, and I'm so excited to own it finally, and that I own a legitimate original copy. Because I wish I could explain to you all the plot, but I just can't. It's been too long. I just remember him being like a contracted assassin, I think, and they were part of some organization, and the opening theme slapped. That's all I remember. But very cool, very amazing series. Highly recommend. And then I did pick up the second season. I also found it from a separate seller. So that's the only downside to this, is you will have to probably find separate sellers for each individual DVD. Or this is actually the Blu-ray release. But even with the proxy fees and the shipping fee, because I did make this one purchase, it still came out to a really good price, and definitely much cheaper than what I would have paid buying an eBay listing within my own country. So here is season 2. Oh, I was wondering why it didn't have the title on the cover, and it made me think it was fake or something, but I guess that's just how it is, because this has a different art piece on the cover. That's cool that it's still double-sided and they include all the DVDs or Blu-ray stuff on there. And then here's the discs. And this is not a season I've seen, so I'm hoping it's good. But I'm just happy to have more Darker Than Black. I remember feeling kind of empty when I finished the original season, because it was just so good. I wanted more. But I'm so excited to add these to my collection. And then because this opened the floodgates, I figured I might as well see if anyone was selling Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, because again, Aniplex, such expensive copies, and it's part 1 and 2, so they haven't released like a full series box set, and I think the one they have is super expensive. I'm just not willing. I found both of these for like 6,000 yen. I can't recall, but I think I paid like 40 bucks for both of these. And it is the original, I mean, there it is, the Funimation release. It's in English and everything. And a friend of mine has this, and she told me it looks legit. It looks exactly like hers. The double-sided slipcover. It has the Funimation little pamphlets. So I think I did pretty well finding this. And you may be wondering, well, why the heck do Japanese sellers have the English version? And same reason we're importing stuff from Japan. They're looking for something specific, more than likely. It could also be just Westerners who moved to Japan and need to unload stuff. They just happen to have it and, you know, are selling it. But also, from what I've read, anime in general is very expensive in Japan. As we're seeing with Aniplex releases in Japan, they sell it per volume, where it only has maybe 4 to 6 episodes, and that alone is $60+. So for a 12-episode series, you're talking over $100, and if it's more than that, like this one, then that's a lot of money. So a lot of times, from what I've read through testimony of Japanese fans, they actually do try to buy the American releases because it does come with the Japanese version, you know, that they can just switch to. The only downside is obviously that they have to find a way to play it because ours are region A or region 1. And that's very important when I was searching for these. Not only was I trying to look for the signs that read that these would be legitimate, but you also have to be very careful and make sure that if they have a picture of it, if they don't, it's very difficult to tell. But make sure that it does say that it's region 1 right here. That is the American or North American region. So to make sure that it plays on your DVD Blu-ray player, if your player happens to be locked, I think a lot of the time nowadays, the ones on computers and stuff are not region locked anymore. And you can definitely buy a Blu-ray, DVD player, etc. that is not region locked, and it'll play whatever. But if you don't, or you're not sure how to look for that, then you just have to be careful. And then finally, this is what started it all. My friends recently got together and rewatched, and for some of them, watched for the first time, Evangelion. The whole thing. We're talking the series, End of Evangelion, and the Rebuild movies. So, I had already bought Evangelion, obviously, on Blu-ray, because they recently released it, but it only had the recent Netflix dub, which is okay. But it's not the original dub. And the only way you can get the original dub now is through that very expensive box set that was released. And I am not willing to pay that for it. So I went to Japan Mercari and searched up Evangelion. You have to use the character for import. The downside with Evangelion is that it was bootleg to heck, especially this particular version. So I had to be very vigilant about which copy I was buying. I'm like 85 to 90% sure this is legitimate, but I'm still not really 100% sure. And honestly, I don't know if I really care because it plays on my computer just fine. It is the version that's the director's cut, which is the one you want. It basically looks very real and legitimate. And I didn't pay nearly what the folks on eBay want. So here's the discs. All the cases have their slipcover. The slipcover itself is quite thick and looks very nice. Ugh, Gendo. Kaji, Misato, Asuka, Rei, and Shinji. Kind of wish we could have replaced one of these two guys with Kaoru, but I guess not. This is what the inside of the cases look like. Not a lot of people take a picture of the inside of the cases, so I only have a few examples to determine whether or not this one's real. So yeah, I'm like 85% sure this one's real. But if not, honestly, I don't care too much because, like I said, it does play on my computer, and that's really all that matters because I don't have a DVD player anymore. So, I never did. I used my PS4, but I don't use that either. So I'm very happy to have the original dub and include it in my in my collection. And the case is really cool. There are a couple Reddit threads that kind of explain what to look out for if you're looking to not buy a bootleg version of this. But some of the stuff has been upgraded. Like the bootleggers are trying really hard to make this look as authentic as possible in the newer bootlegged versions. The main things that were described to indicate it was a bootleg is that the artwork, particularly for Asuka, you could tell there wasn't a lot of detail in these in the machinery behind her, which made me think this was a fake because this does look a little faded. My friend actually also wanted this copy, so I scouted Mercari Japan for another one, and actually did find another one. And for the most part, they were very similar with some minor differences. Like hers, I think hers was a little more saturated. Asuka in particular looked very, not very, but like a bit darker. And then the cases were different. But that was one. Next was the text down here. The G in the bootleg versions, at least the original bootleg versions, had a different type of G. It had a little tail at the bottom, so the font was slightly different. And then the O was narrower. And this is definitely a wider O, I think. Or maybe not. I don't know anymore. It's so hard to tell. Also, the kerning in between the letters. In the original, this A and N were connected, whereas in the bootleg they had a gap in between. So just the text on the covers were different. Also, the cases in the bootlegs were clear, whereas the original had black. Like one person posted what their case might look like, which did look like this. Ooh, I don't know what that is. Whereas other people said their cases look different. So I'm just not sure as far as the cases go. Everyone pretty much focused on just this part. And if it's sealed, generally the bootleg is covering up Rei, whereas it should be covering up Asuka because, I mean, her picture is on the little slip. So Rei should not be covered. But this was not wrapped. This was a used copy when I bought it, so that wouldn't have indicated anything. And then obviously at the bottom, just double check, it says Region 1. That'll tell you it's a dubbed, because there was a Japanese version released of this as well that looked very similar, but obviously it's in Japanese. But yeah, those are my only tips. Oh, also, the ADV logo down here in the bootleg was a little more mismatched when you saw that the cases lined up. This was pretty straight, so that told me that it could be potentially a real one. I'm not sure anymore. I stared at these listing pictures for so long, and then when they got here, I tested both of them out. I put the discs in my computer and checked the files to see when the media had been printed on them. All the dates seemed to have correlated correctly, and I was doing the same thing I did when I bought Case Closed to make sure I didn't get bootlegs, and it was a lot. And eventually I was like, you know what? I'm fine if it's a bootleg. Oh well, they work, whatever. But that's it for this haul. I am so happy with what I purchased. So excited to have Darker Than Black. I heard this is a hard series to find even in the West, so I'm very happy to have it in my collection. But yeah, From Japan is my recommendation because they just let you search through all the websites at once and just keep copy pasting those characters and search words. And I will say some of these sellers in Japan still are, they're definitely aware of how rare certain series are, maybe because they're rare in Japan as well, because this was the only listing I found that was a decent price for Fullmetal Alchemist, so they're aware. But some people may not care, and that's how I found some really good deals. Okay, y'all can't see everything I bought, but like always, I'll try to link everything in the description. For the stuff I found from Japan, I'll try and copy paste the characters I used and leave them in the description for y'all. But like I said, From Japan is my recommendation, and you know, just look up the Japanese version of the series you're looking for, as well as import, the character for import. The Google Translate version worked for me, so I think that'll suffice. And just keep checking. You never know when someone will list something you're dying to have for a good price. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.